I was just saying to myself that it's about time I pulled my finger out and did something. Like maybe I better make a video, record a video, yes, and do the final reading from just another day. Yeah, maybe I should do that. Yeah, just me playing around. You know what I'm like, don't you? Hello, fellow YouTubers. Today's a Friday, November 2. Peace. Been another very, very warm day. It's starting to cool down a little bit now. It's getting on to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sky is full of streaky and fluffy and slightly grey clouds. Oh, you know me, I like clouds. That's looking almost dewy, so that's just a little slightly greyish clouds. There's no rain or storms forecast, although I just had a look at the radar, and there's a lot of lightning activity out west over the Great Divide, that way. Yes, and it spreads all the way from the Queensland border down to the Victorian border. So it'd be about could be 1,500 kilometre band of lightning and storms and a little bit of rain. So whether it comes here or not, I don't know. But anyhow, I'm rattling on about something you're probably not really interested in, but I just thought you'd like to know. About this tree behind me. I had an idea. This is my tree. I bought it quite a while back and planted it. It was only a little fella, and probably only about knee high. A couple, 2 or 3 years ago. Well, I decided I'm going to let it go up there, and when it gets onto the roof, it'll push up against the roof there, and then it will go either right or left. I want it to go down to the right and work its way along, but then I might let it go to the left and work its way along. And you'll notice that the Wisteria over there, we trimmed it yesterday. Just a couple of those tendrils going out there, but we'll get them off. The noise in the background once again is the tower fan. Yes, well, I need a tower fan on because it's about 28 degrees in the shed here. Yeah, that's 56, 82 Fahrenheit. Humidity's up around 80% too. And yeah, yesterday I had plans to go to the Botanic Garden to record the Japanese gardens there, but it was too hot yesterday, and I just didn't have the puff anyhow. And today I had planned to go down to the jetty and walk along the pier and smile and wave with the GoPro camera on my cap, or my other cap, and to see how it went. Yes, but I didn't get around to do that either. But here's the funny thing. You know what happened last night? Now, my wife, as you know, is a very keen gardener. Oh yeah, that's the way I like it. Not me. So it was late in the afternoon, and she said, "Do you want to take me to Bunnings?" Bunnings? At this time, I said, no. It was around 4:30. I said, the traffic will be terrible. I said, look, just to keep it happy, I said, leave it till 7 after the news. And she was quite happy with it. Oh, gee, that's good. I'll have a chance to have a shower and all that. Yeah, so there we were down at Bunnings at, it was about 7:10 by the time we got there. And the place was nearly deserted. It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And she wanted to get a lot more plants and some more potting mix. Boy, she's bought a lot of plants and potting mix of late. It's too bad we don't have the room in the front yard to get a truckload of it and put a tarp over it. Shade. No. But happy life, happy wife thing there. She loves the garden, fair enough. And then she said, I'm really hungry. And she said, how about we go to McDonald's? I said, McDonald's is way over the other side there. I said, look, straight ahead is KFC. So we went to KFC and got some original recipe. And she had a burger and we got a couple of packets of chips. I really like KFC's chips, I really do. The chicken wasn't too bad either this time. It wasn't real greasy. But I always like their chips, always have. I think they got the best chips, or fries if you want to call them, of any of the fast food outlets. Now, but I will get around to doing all the things, and I've got a lot of stuff to do. I have. But anyhow, I'm going to finish reading Just Another Day, because I haven't got, I think, about a couple of thousand words to read, so I better get into it. Where do we go? I'll just suggest to repeat, just to refresh your memory. On second thought, maybe I'd be better off not thinking at all and concentrating on where I'm walking. After all, look what happened before when I had my head in the clouds. Maybe I should make an appointment with my doctor. I will make an appointment with my doctor first thing tomorrow. And I must write a letter to the local newspaper and publicly thank that boy for sticking around like he did. Some wouldn't have. And a few might have even taken the opportunity to steal my wallet. With all but a tiny section of his mind made up, Jeremy continued walking on, listening to the gently steady rain impacting with the umbrella. The all but section of Jeremy's mind was in turmoil though. Nagging away about something that he didn't have a clue as to what that something might be. He had a thought pop into his head that popped straight out again the moment he exited the dental surgery. Been there countless times. So maybe it has something to do with the same thing and the thought had resurrected itself. He knew his wallet wasn't missing because he had a habit of patting his back pocket with monotonous regularity when he walked. And it was there only a moment or two ago. And there was nothing in the two side pockets except for a couple of tissues. Nor was there anything in his shirt pocket. I got nothing in my shirt pocket except for some holes. You want to see? Look at it. It's only a yard shirt. That's all it is. But as he came within close proximity to where the accident had happened, on this accident-prone day of just another day, something caught his eye lying on the footpath just ahead and off to his right. Although it was dark, Jeremy didn't have any problem recognising what they were, for the street lights were reflecting the drops of rain on the lenses. His sunglasses. Jesus H. Christ, he said out loud, just before he bent down and picked them up and placed them in the pocket of his shirt. A little animation there. And for the umpteenth time this day, on this unforgettable day of just another day, Jeremy berated himself for his forgetfulness. Well, we can understand it. He was still berating himself and shaking his head in disbelief when he arrived home, and continued to do so when the first thing Doreen said to him when he entered the lounge room was, "What happened to the carpet?" But of course, she would, of course. "Had a bad day, have you?" Jeremy spittled, reaching into his pocket, then retrieving a tissue and wiping his mouth. "You could say that, yes. Well, join the club." Doreen looked him up and down, and with a half smile said, "You look like how I feel." "I feel worse than I look, believe me." "Well, if that's the case then, you must feel terrible." Uh-oh. "Thank you. Anyhow, I'm going to have a shower. Put on some dry clothes. Then we can have dinner and you can tell me about your day and I'll tell you about mine." And for the second time that day, Doreen had insisted he could be first cab off the rank, but of course she would. Jeremy talked about his day, but with all the updates, starting with the most poignant of all, the passing of his father. Doreen and Melissa shed tears at the news, but Jeremy expected they would. Women always seem to be more emotional about such things, and aren't afraid to let it out. That's not to say Adrian was immune to such feelings, but he, like his father, kept a stiff upper lip. And his wife's and daughter's appetites... Oh, hang on, I had it myself. But of course they would. That's what men tend to do. And it was obvious too that the news had taken away his wife's and daughter's appetites by the way they were picking at their food, while his sons hadn't been affected at all. And he himself, while hungry too, was only taking a small mouthful simply because that's all he could do. But when Jeremy started relating the events of his day, the somewhat sombre atmosphere suddenly changed for the better. Rejuvenated with laughter and smiles and the casual and witty comments and criticisms that others do and can't resist making about someone else's misfortunes. Or thought Jeremy's incident with the scooter was particularly amusing. But of course they would. He even laughed himself. Well, he tend to. And with the way he was tending to muffle some words with a mouthful of spittle. Must have only had to do with their jocularity. You really are a card sometimes, Dad, Melissa said, wiping away laughter tears. I'm glad you think so, but believe me, I wasn't laughing at the time. Oh no. I bet that little boy wasn't either, Doreen said. Must have scared the living daylights out of him. I'm sure it did. It did me. Jeremy was still feeling a little apprehensive, as a matter of fact, wondering if the pain and discomfort, albeit less, was worthy of a visit to the emergency ward of the hospital. But then maybe not. He'd probably have to sit and stand and sit and wait for hours, and besides, he'd taken a hit to the groin before and pain and discomfort were the norm. And he had been able to steel himself and have a good feel when he was standing naked in the bathroom. But even though the pain had made him flinch and curl his toes, he had actually felt slightly aroused. Weird, that sort of stuff, isn't it? So that had to be a good thing. Strange, but good. Well, no, it wasn't really that strange, because the same thing used to happen when his hemorrhoids made his life almost unbearable. But of course, go figure, eh? I don't know what that is. I don't know why that happened. Strangest things like that. Maybe we... I forgot what I was going to say. You will be going to see a doctor, won't you? Doreen asked. Oh yes, definitely. I might need to see a doctor too, a psychiatrist. Why? Bloody job's driving me nuts. Quit. And do what? Work for ourselves, perhaps. Doing what? And besides, it's not the company and the people I work for and with that's the problem. It's the bloody shoppers. So rude, arrogant, and downright aggressive at times. Not all, mind you, but enough. Seems the whole world is angry these days, Jeremy replied. Does seem that way, doesn't it? It does, you know. Why is that? Too many people living too close together with too many out of work and too much time on their hands. Yes, and it seemed that all of them were giving me a hard time today. Well, my love, it beats the hell out of me how you've managed to work in that department store for so long. I'd go ballistic in the first week. I once did work in a department store in my late teens. I lasted a week before I got fired because I just couldn't stand the customers. Yeah. I just couldn't stand there. Anyhow, I got fired and was glad for it. She smiled. You know, maybe it's time I quit. Maybe it is time I quit. We can certainly talk about it. Weigh up our options. Who knows what might transpire? We will. Later. Okay. So was there anything in particular that made you so angry? A shoplifter. Called me all the names under the sun when I got security on her. Made me as mad as hell, I can tell you. And you still are, and I bet it wasn't just her swearing that got you up your nose, am I right? Yes, Dr. Phil. It was mostly her goddamn attitude. She denied she had done anything wrong, even though she'd been caught red-handed. Then she made the unmitigated gall to say it was all my fault, and it was a misunderstanding. Exactly. Some people just will not take responsibility for their own actions. Excuses, excuses, excuses. Anyhow, I decided I'm going to ring up in the morning and say I'm sick, which isn't a lie, because I am sick and tired. Good for you. In fact, why don't you say there's been a death in the family and you need a week? I could do that, yes. But I won't do it over the phone. I'll go to work and talk to my boss. She's a good egg and will be more than understanding. And Melissa and Adrian can miss a couple of days from school, Jeremy said. And we'll drive down to Bateman's Bay on Friday. What do you all reckon? They all reckon it sounded like a good idea. Sounds like a good idea to me. So good, in fact, that Melissa and Adrian volunteered to wash up. Jeremy almost fell off his chair, but of course he would. Later that evening, long after their children had retired for the night, but long after Jeremy and Doreen had had their talk as to their future, in a nutshell, they decided it was time for a change. At around 15 minutes before midnight, lying in bed, with Doreen having put her book down and turned off her bedside light, Jeremy remained sitting under the covers thinking. But of course, he would. Last page. This is the last one. He first thought and foremost that this day of just another day had been incredible. Not incredible as in marvellous and amazing, but incredible as in unbelievable. The day had begun very, very early with pain, and now it was drawing to a close very, very late with pain. And no part of his body had been spared. In other words, it had been a very painful day. And you'll get no argument from Jeremy about that. But of course, you wouldn't. As a matter of fact, he might even be in more pain now than he had been very, very early this morning. Well, it was hard to tell because some pain is different. Not all pain is the same, you see. Let's just say at this particular time Jeremy was in some sort of pain, but was comfortable with his pain, which maybe had a lot to do with the fact that he wasn't moving. Some pain is like that. And because Jeremy was thinking this way and chuckling about those thoughts, it was obvious he was feeling pretty good about himself. Or at least good within himself. Which probably had a lot to do with the real possibility that things were going to change in the not too distant future, in the days where every day, just like every day of just another day, might cease to exist. Then he started to think about the trials and tribulations, the likes of which he had never experienced before on any day of. Then he started to think about the trials and tribulations, the likes of which he had never experienced before on any day, ever, And he wondered if the greater scheme of all things, that maybe some mysterious and inexplicable force, a higher order perhaps, had singled him out and was giving him and only him a hard time. He decided when he finished thinking that he was being silly. To be thinking about a higher order, he thought, is touching on belief in God. And there is no God. Just like there are no coincidences in life. Just life itself. And everything that happens in life happens for a reason. Even though at times we don't and can't understand what those reasons are. Doreen believes her life is mapped out for her. And maybe she's right. But then she does believe in God. And he would suppose that that would make a difference. A preordained destiny, if you will. But with all that had happened today, he thought, the sadness, the anger and self-admonishment, the tantrums and the tears, the reactions and the repercussions, the laughter and the revelations. Fair income. The silly things too, and maybe the breaking of the drought, which we've been waiting so long for, but only time will tell. There were the surprises. And as Jeremy placed his book on the bedside cabinet and turned off the light, he thought about those wonderful things, those surprises that happen when we least expect them, and how sometimes, when they do happen, they can change our lives forever. And now that it was dark and he was lying so, on his left side and listening to the rain, he reached out with his right hand and caressed his wife's thigh. There wasn't any thought of intimacy, no carnal expectations at all. Just feeling her soft, warm and silky smooth thigh was all he needed and wanted to do. But what happened next was totally unexpected. Would the surprises never end? For here in this bed at 1 minute before midnight, it seemed that Ruth may have been right all along. And miracles can and do happen. But of course, they would. Of course they bloody would. Of course they bloody well would. Oh, good grief. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the story. In fact, I've forgotten how good it was. Now, I'm not beating my own drum. I think it's a good story. So much so that I've decided I might just rewrite it a little bit. Not much. Just tidy it up a tad. And I might put it on Amazon or something like that, as an e-book or whatever. Yeah, to put it as a soft cover, you got to design the cover and this sort of stuff. I'm not a fan of e-books, but a lot of people are, so I might give it a try. But we'll see. Like, I've been playing a lot of things, and this is another thing I can put on. I got my little recorder here, little voice recorder, and of course, it helps me. If something pops into my head, I get it out and put it on this. And what happened the last time? Oh yeah, I'll just show you. Yeah. Oh, that's the bloke too.
All over the world.
Yeah, this is the one about
when you sniff or you cough or you
the language. Doesn't make any difference. Some sounds sound the same. So I just put it on this, you see. Oh yeah, the chap there. I just turned it off. Yeah, it's a very handy little thing. I think it's cost about $70. You have to talk up with it, but because the microphone's not that good, but it worked fine. Yeah, I just came across this chap, a scrap vulture, about a young bloke. I think he's a young bloke, middle-aged bloke who goes around on a motor scooter, sometimes a push bike, to all the dumpsters in his city where he lives, and he's been doing it for 11 years. I for some reason I just find it fascinating. You never see his face because it's got the GoPro camera on a band on his head. And but yeah, I just find it fascinating, the stuff that people throw out. I might give you a link to it. No, I will give you a link to it in the description. Pop over and have a look. You might enjoy it too. And sometimes he takes his dog, Creature, out with him. Yeah, Creature. Yeah, she sits on the board, you know, the footboard there, of the motor scooter. She's a wonderful little dog. You try doing that with Bailey. You wouldn't get you wouldn't get out of the driveway with him. He'd go nuts. Surprises, eh? Yeah. Well, like I said, I really hope you enjoyed that. Let me know. Just let me know if you enjoyed the story. I got plenty of others I can read, and I probably will. But I thought I got a lot of other things I got to do. I'm still writing my song for Emphysema Man to the Superman the movie theme. It's not easy, but I'll get there eventually. And I got my symbol all sorted out, and I got to get a T-shirt with it on. Well, I've got so much to do. I really have. But anyhow, I want to thank you for watching, and if you close your eyes, thank you for listening. And until next time, bye for now. You know, I would have recorded this outdoors, but the wind blowing, and the wind would have taken my words away, and that would have really angered me. It would have. There's nothing worse than recording a video, and I'm sure many of you know about this. You record a video outdoors, and the wind is